We're back. Another episode of Words, Music, Dance. We're in March. Shout out to Women's History Month. You know what I mean? Crystal's here. Yeah, you're representing for the women. Shout out to everybody here. We got Crystal, we got Rel, we got Jared, homie Waykme down there. More people. There we go. There we go. Just a little peek for the camera. Okay.
Little camera. This me. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
That's all y'all gonna get. That's all y'all gonna get, ladies.
Oh, you're gonna get it. So you're gonna get But this is episode 107. Like I said, Words, Music, Dance. I'm your host as always, Paulie the Bull. No relation to Gravano. Shout out to everybody listening. Shout out to everybody watching. As always, you appreciate it. You already know what it is. Comment, like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell another friend. Watch it twice, 3, 4 times because it's good stuff. You know what I mean? Like I said, we're in March, Women's History Month. We've exited out of Black History Month, but we all Black, so we still celebrate all year round. You know what I mean? So so we do. But the famous N-word has been in rotation a lot in the last couple of weeks and days and things. So we got a few people that we need to talk about using the N-word. There's always a conversation about who can, who can't. So we couldn't go into that a little bit later. But to start off things, we had a follow-up to the homie Papa John, aka John Schnatter. Doesn't matter.
Schnatter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Him, Papa John is what they call him. And a couple years ago, he was on one of his conference calls with his team, and he used the N-word. And they removed him from the board, got him up out of there. And as of lately, about a week or so ago, he was on the news and he said,
"Take me back to a few years ago when you start to see these headlines coming out and smearing your good name. How did you feel at the time when you were seeing these headlines?"
State of shock. Unbelievable. I couldn't understand it. I mean, again, you have a public board that paints its chairman complicit, passive, or active. They paint the founder as a racist. We've had 3 goals for the last 20 months to get rid of this N-word in my vocabulary and dictionary and everything else because it's just not true. Figure out how they did this and get on with my life.
He's been trying to get that word out of his vocabulary, dictionary, thesaurus, any other database where apparently he has it, but he said they made up the story of him even using it in the same. He had a Rick James moment when you think about it. He had a I never stepped on his couch.
Right.
F his couch.
Yeah.
he had a Rick James moment. I showed you the video. Y'all saw the video. Crystal, I'm gonna start with ladies first. That's right. Wake up. What is your thoughts on Papa John, that video, his comments? Do you think he used that word often? You think it was a slip up? What'd you think about that? What you think about the whole thing?
I don't think any white person ever slips up to use the N-word. It is something you have thought about. You thought, should I use it? Shouldn't I? Shouldn't I? I'm going to do it. It's like double Dutch. You're like, and then you just go ahead, go in.
Just jump,
and let the chips fall where they may. And he used it. I don't understand how you try to not use a word that as a Caucasian, you already know you should not be using. It's not your word. It's not for you. Okay, cracker. Monkey. Those are for y'all.
Right. Rel, what do you think about him saying for the past 20 months he's been trying to eliminate it out of his dictionary?
I don't even understand that, because at the end of the day, like, I would challenge one of you to remove a word from your dictionary. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's a word because there's words we all know that we don't use because that's not in us, and we know it's offensive or whatever, but we're not removing it from any dictionary. If you don't want to be offensive, you don't say offensive things. Mm-hmm. So for you to have to sit there and try and put effort to remove stuff, like no one believes that's going to be removed from your vocabulary. And I would even beg to differ from what Crystal said when she said that white people, you know, they think about should they use it or they just go and use it. White people that use the word nigga in the fashion that he did and a lot of them do, they're saying how they feel and what they mean. Like, you know, that's what they say. They're not thinking of any repercussions. It's like, no, I'm nigger. Like that's what it is. Like that's and they say that, and then it's when they get caught up or when you know, they get taken to task for is when they have to try to reel it back and say, well, you know, hey, it was my diabetes or, you know, whatever. You know,
we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
Yeah. But, you know, but when they're saying what they're saying how they feel. They're speaking like they're speaking normally. So when they use it, it's because that's how they feel. So that's how he felt. So now you're trying to tell me you don't feel this way? And it's not impossible that, you know, maybe he's been trying to get different perspective on things, and now he may see where that's wrong. So you can tell me that, you know, you're working on the habit of using it or whatever the case may be, but like you're removing it from your dictionary. A dictionary has definitions. Now you're gonna tell me that you don't know what a nigger is now anymore? You know, like what? I don't understand all that. That's so ridiculous to me.
Waykme, let me ask you. You've been on some conference calls and things with white people or any people, but you know, what do you feel? Because we, like I said, we don't have the audio from the conference call that he was on, but what context do you feel he might have used it in to even be okay?
So, number one, I can't speak to that. I can't speak to someone trying to do anything. This sounds like a classic case of a person or an epic failure of a person trying to generate a buzz to rebrand themselves. So, you know, with the clickbait and all of that, trying to just, you know, like he said, remove the word from his bio, right? But, you know, unfortunately, when you do things as egregious as this, that's going to remain with you. That's something that's like a murder rap that you beat. You know, you may beat the rap, but, you know, people are still going to remember you were charged for a murder. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the case with this. And in terms of like that word, I just feel like with white people, when they use the word, they're using it for a reason, for a purpose. It's not because they want to be chummy or joke. They're using it for a reason. And because we give it power at times, they have the ability to capitalize on that reason that they're using it for. So I really can't speak to what context he used it in. And even whatever context he did use it in, it was the wrong context. So must be peace on it.
It's funny that you said that, you know, you use it once and it sticks with you, because it made me think of the South Park episode when Randy said he was on Wheel of Fortune, and it was like, what was the clue was people that annoy you.
Yeah, people that annoy you in the art.
G-G-E-R. He was like, niggers! And it was naggers.
It was nagger, right?
He's but then for the whole episode, he was known as the nigger guy. So like you said, it stuck with him the whole time. They were like, hey, that's the nigger guy. He said, you know, because he said it on TV. So yeah, it lived with him, and even for Papa John, I mean, one, he lost his title as CEO, even though he is Papa John. And Jared, I ask you, how the fact that Shaq kind of took his place kind of as like the poster boy for Papa John Pizza, you know, is it poetic justice? Is it
the biggest nigger?
What do you think about the whole situation, though, Jared? What do you think about that?
I think you just said the words out of my mouth. They couldn't have found the biggest nigga to replace him, man. That shit was hilarious. It is poetic justice because like it's a company you built, you know, like you started it. And look, we all say words, and you know that, you know, we know it's not friendly out to the rest of the world, but that's this shit you say in house and the shit you say out in the street. you don't keep it, you don't say your in-house, your in-house stuff out in a conference call, no matter your privilege. Because especially in this day and age, maybe that shit would have flew back in 1950 and 60. Sure. But this day and age, that shit don't fly. You get looked down upon, saying your true feelings about that. Like there's a lot of, it's funny. It's not funny, but it's funny to me that he really did have a Rick James moment saying, I never said that. But I've been trying to say that. I've been trying to stop saying that word for 20 months. If it's taking you 2 years to stop saying a word that you say you never said,
right, that's crazy.
There's something wrong with that situation right there. Like, but he's just another casualty of privilege going wrong. Michael Richards, did that when he was doing the stand-up thing. And granted, in his context was comedy, and it may have fell flat and very, very distasteful, but there's a difference between a comedy stage and a conference call with a bunch of business owners. Like those are two different spectrums. Yeah. But it's still, it's all falls to the same thing. Your privilege falls wrong. And like, do I have a tear out my eye for him? Nope. Don't care. Didn't really care for Papa John's anyway. I'd rather eat Pizza Hut. But
shameless plug. Shameless plug.
They're not. We are not sponsored by them in any.
We ain't sponsored by any of them. So, like shit, I mean, like fuck. I mean, we got some good ass Brooklyn pizza anyway. But like I said, if I had, like it's hilarious how they did replace the face of Papa John's on these commercials with Shaq though, and that means that's one of Shaq's many freaking ventures that he has. But it's hilarious that the only, the only quote unquote nigga you could find was the biggest one you could find. that is you can't miss him anyway. Mm-hmm. You can miss Kevin Hart, but you can't miss Shaq.
Wow.
Hey, can I just add one thing? Doesn't Shaquille mean warrior?
Yeah, something like
Doesn't his name mean warrior? Mm-hmm. So they found the biggest black guy that has a name that means warrior. Mm-hmm. Like I think that wasn't done by accident. That was definitely done on purpose. I would love to see the trajectory of sales after they named Shaquille, the face of the company. I would love to see that, because that was speaking volumes. That was a marketing employee that was genius.
Mm-hmm. Because they also, isn't Peyton Manning like one of their biggest
yeah, he's also a spokesperson.
Yeah, but he also like owns some of them, and he I don't know. Yeah, I think he has some Papa John locations. He's a shareholder, so it's funny that the board looked at Shaq. How do you feel about this, Shaq?
Like I want to think, like, was Peyton on that conference call?
Right.
Because I never heard Peyton say anything about it, really. I don't remember.
He might not have been, but even if he was, he probably was like, yo, I ain't getting involved in that.
Right. He's like, I don't know about that nigga shit.
I've been throwing the football to niggas my whole career, bro. I'm not like, yo, y'all should know I love them.
Come on, you know I love you. You know I love you, baby. I mean
it's funny. It takes me back to because like you said, he must have felt real comfortable on that call. Like you said, Jared.
Yeah.
Back 70, 80 years ago, this might have flew. He was comfortable. It's just us. This is a closed room where no one's invited that wouldn't feel a way about it. But just like Donald Sterling, he didn't know his girl was recording. John thought, I'm good. I'm in a safe space. We can talk. We can say stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I just find so much humor in him saying, that it's taken him 20 years to remove it out of his vocabulary, and followed up by him saying he doesn't know how they, being the board, even fabricated this story of him even saying it. And it's just like, so you didn't say it then, but you're having a hard time not saying it in counseling or therapy, or what is the, I would love to follow up to that. Whoever the interviewer didn't really act like, what are you saying, dog? Like, what do you, the interviewer should have been like, nigga, what?